Welcome to another episode of Humans Are Whack. Christmas Day is supposed to be about joy, family, warmth, celebration. A day when the world slows down and people feel safest. But sometimes, tragedy doesn't take a holiday. Today, we're uncovering the worst ways people have died on Christmas Day. Real incidents, real lives, and moments when a day meant for happiness turned into one of unimaginable loss. And we begin with a story that proves danger can hide even in the most peaceful traditions. On our first story for today is a story about a man named Bruce Pardo. To his neighbors, Bruce Pardo looked like any other holiday guest. He arrived at a family Christmas gathering in Covina, California, dressed like Santa Claus, red suit, white trim, the whole image of festive cheer. But behind the costume was something far darker. On Christmas Day, 2008, Bruce walked into the home carrying not gifts, but weapons. What followed was one of the deadliest holiday attacks in U.S. history. Within minutes, the celebration turned into chaos. The house was set ablaze. Family members were trapped inside. Others tried desperately to escape. By the time authorities arrived, 9 people were dead. Bruce Pardo fled the scene, later taking his own life. Investigators would discover that the Santa suit was a disguise, one that allowed him to get close without raising suspicion. What makes this story especially chilling is the timing. Christmas Day, a family gathering, a symbol of joy used to deliver horror. It was a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous threats come wrapped in familiarity and arrive when our guard is completely down. On our second story for today is the story of a man named John Murray. Christmas morning was supposed to be quiet. Snow outside, heat on, family still asleep. But overnight, a silent killer had already filled the house. John Murray was a 47-year-old father who lived in a suburban neighborhood that had lost power during a winter storm. To keep his home warm, he set up a portable generator in the garage, something thousands of people do every year, believing it's safe as long as the door is cracked open. It wasn't. As the generator ran through the night, it pumped out carbon monoxide, a gas with no smell, no color, and no warning signs. While the house slept, the gas crept through the walls, up the stairs, and into the bedrooms. By Christmas morning, no one woke up. Relatives came by later in the day after unanswered calls raised concern. When they opened the door, they were met with silence. In a house that looked perfectly normal. No fire, no damage, no signs of struggle. John Murray was pronounced dead at the scene. Others in the home were rushed to the hospital in critical condition. What makes this story especially haunting is how ordinary it was. No violence, no chaos. Just a simple attempt to stay warm on Christmas Day, and a mistake that cost a life. Carbon monoxide doesn't announce itself. It doesn't give second chances. And on a day meant for warmth and comfort, it turned deadly. On our third story for today is the story of a woman named Maria Alvarez. Christmas Day was loud, joyful, and crowded, exactly how Maria loved it. She was a 62-year-old grandmother known for hosting big family dinners every year. The house was full. Kids were running around. The kitchen was alive with heat, laughter, and the smell of food that had been cooking since early morning. But beneath all that warmth, danger was building. As Maria prepared the final dishes, a grease fire ignited on the stove. It started small, just a sudden flare of flame. Instinct kicked in. Without thinking, Maria grabbed the nearest thing she could find, water. The moment the water hit the burning oil, the fire exploded. Flames shot upward, spreading instantly across the cabinets and ceiling. In seconds, the kitchen became an inferno. Family members scrambled to escape, shouting for help, trying to pull Maria away from the stove. But the fire moved faster than anyone expected. By the time firefighters arrived, the damage was already done. Maria suffered severe burns and smoke inhalation. She was rushed to the hospital, where she later died from her injuries, on the very day she had spent weeks preparing for. What makes this tragedy especially painful is how common it is. Grease fires are one of the leading causes of house fires during the holidays. And the instinct to use water, something that feels natural, is often the most dangerous mistake you can make. 1 second, one wrong reaction, and a Christmas celebration. On our fourth story for today is the story of a man named Daniel Brooks. For Daniel, Christmas Day was about tradition. At 48 years old, he never missed his annual morning drive to visit relatives across town. The roads were usually quiet. The city felt calmer. It was his favorite time to be behind the wheel. That morning, winter had laid a thin layer of ice across the streets, barely visible, deceptively harmless. Daniel was only a few minutes from his destination when it happened. As he approached an intersection, he tapped the brakes and felt nothing. The car slid. Tires lost grip. The steering wheel became useless in his hands. In a split second, his vehicle crossed into oncoming traffic and collided head-on with a delivery truck. The impact was catastrophic. Metal folded. Glass shattered. The silence that followed was chilling. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but Daniel had suffered massive internal injuries. He was pronounced dead at the scene, less than an hour after wishing his family Merry Christmas. What makes this story especially haunting is how ordinary it was. No speeding, no alcohol, no reckless behavior, just ice, just timing, just one uncontrollable moment. Every year, Christmas Day sees a spike in fatal road accidents, not because people are careless, but because conditions change, routines feel familiar, and caution drops just enough to become deadly. One drive meant to bring family together. On our fifth story for today is the story of a woman named Maria Lopez. For Maria, Christmas was about family, food, and finishing everything perfectly. At 52 years old, she had spent the entire morning cooking, turkey in the oven, sides on the stove, guests already on their way. The house smelled like celebration. Laughter echoed from the living room. But the kitchen was hot, crowded, rushed. As Maria reached up to grab a heavy pot from a high shelf, she lost her footing on a slick patch of floor. The pot came down with her. Scalding liquid spilled across her chest, arms, and neck. She screamed. The room erupted into chaos. Family members rushed to help, but the burns were severe, third degree over large portions of her body. Paramedics arrived and rushed her to the hospital. Maria died later that evening from complications related to thermal shock and extensive burns. What makes this story especially painful is how fast it unfolded. 1 second, she was preparing Christmas dinner. The next, her family was standing in a hospital hallway praying. Holiday kitchens are among the most dangerous places in a home. Overcrowded, overheated, and filled with boiling liquids, sharp tools, and exhaustion. A meal meant to bring everyone together, turned into a tragedy no one could undo. On our sixth story for today is the story of a man named Daniel Wright. Daniel was known as the fix-it guy in his family. On Christmas morning, when the power suddenly went out in the house, everyone turned to him. Decorations were up, kids were waiting, dinner plans were tight, and Daniel didn't want Christmas ruined. He grabbed a ladder and headed outside to check a loose cable connected to the house. It had rained the night before. The ground was wet. The ladder wasn't secured, and the line he touched was still live. The moment his hand made contact, the shock threw him backward. He fell from the ladder, hitting the concrete below with devastating force. Family members heard the sound before they heard the scream. Emergency services arrived quickly, but Daniel had suffered fatal electrocution combined with severe head trauma. He was pronounced dead before noon on Christmas Day. What makes this story chilling is how ordinary it was. No thrill-seeking, no recklessness, just a man trying to save the holiday for the people he loved. Electrical accidents spike during holidays, especially when stress, decorations, weather, and time pressure collide. Daniel never made. On our seventh story for today is the story of a woman named Maria Alvarez. Maria was a devoted mother of three, known for keeping Christmas traditions alive no matter how hard the year had been. On Christmas Day, her home was filled with food, music, and family. The kitchen was busy. Pots were boiling. The oven was full. Time was tight. At some point, Maria noticed the carbon monoxide alarm had been beeping earlier that morning. She assumed it was faulty. Dinner needed attention. Guests were arriving. She silenced the alarm and kept cooking. What no one realized was that a faulty gas appliance had begun leaking carbon monoxide into the house, a colorless, odorless gas that gives no warning. As the day went on, Maria complained of dizziness and a headache. Family members thought it was stress, fatigue, hunger. Minutes later, she collapsed in the kitchen. By the time emergency responders arrived, the house was filled with deadly levels of gas. Several family members were hospitalized. Maria didn't survive. She died on Christmas Day, surrounded by the people she loved, without ever knowing the danger filling the room. Carbon monoxide poisoning. On our eighth story for today is the story of a man named Daniel Cooper. Daniel was a 27-year-old delivery driver working overtime through the holidays. Christmas Day wasn't about rest for him. It was about finishing one last job and getting home to his family. The roads were quiet. Decorations lit the streets. Everything felt calm. Too calm. Late that evening, Daniel pulled over briefly to check his phone. A message from home lit up the screen. "We saved you a plate." He smiled and stepped back into the driver's seat. What Daniel didn't notice was the black ice stretching across the road ahead. Invisible, silent, deadly. As he pulled away, the tires lost grip instantly. The vehicle spun. It slid across lanes, smashed through a barrier, and slammed into a tree at full speed. The impact was catastrophic. Emergency crews arrived within minutes, but Daniel was already gone. Christmas traffic is deceptive. Fewer cars, higher speeds, colder roads. On our ninth story for today is the story of a woman named Sarah Thompson. Sarah was a 34-year-old mother who loved Christmas more than anyone else in her circle. Every year, she made sure her home was perfectly decorated. Twinkling lights, scented candles, and a tree that dazzled anyone who walked in. But on Christmas morning, one small, overlooked detail became deadly. Sarah had plugged in an old string of lights she hadn't used in years. The wires were frayed, insulation worn, and she didn't notice the sparks beginning to flicker along the cord. In seconds, the lights ignited nearby paper decorations. Flames spread quickly. Smoke filled the room. The holiday that was supposed to be joyous turned chaotic in the blink of an eye. Sarah tried to escape, but inhaled too much smoke before she could reach the door. Family members rescued the children, but Sarah didn't survive. What makes this story especially haunting is the unexpected nature of fire hazards during Christmas. Something as simple as old lights, paper decorations. On our 10th story for today is the story of a man named Thomas Reed. Thomas was a 45-year-old father who loved combining Christmas tradition with a bit of fun. On Christmas morning, he set up a homemade fireworks display in his backyard, something he had done every year without incident. Children gathered, neighbors watched, and everyone cheered as the first few fireworks soared into the sky. But this year, something went horribly wrong. One of the fireworks malfunctioned, exploding too close to the ground. Shrapnel flew in all directions. Thomas tried to shield the kids, but the force of the blast hit him directly. He suffered fatal injuries instantly. Emergency services arrived within minutes, but it was too late. The celebration meant to create memories had become a scene of tragedy. What makes Thomas' story especially haunting is that he had done this countless times before, and yet, one small miscalculation, one tiny malfunction, turned a joyful tradition into a fatal accident. In the end, these stories remind us that danger can strike anytime, even on the happiest days of the year. Christmas is meant for warmth, joy, and togetherness, but sometimes tragedy finds a way into even the safest routines. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from, and what time is it right now? Drop it in the comments. It's always incredible to see how far our community reaches. And don't forget, like this video, share it with someone who loves true stories. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming episodes. Stay safe, stay alert, and remember, even the most festive day can hold unexpected danger.